Welcoming all of you to the Bhakti Sangha conference call. Today we are very fortunate to have His Grace Ramgiridhari prabhuji. Prabhuji is going to enlighten us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam, 4th canto, 25th chapter, 16 verse onwards. Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you very much for giving your valuable time and association to us this morning and enlightening us on the topic of Srimad Bhagavatam. I'll hand out the call to you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Savachatvararabhyavir Akridyatyanapantpanai Chaitadvaja Patakavir Yuktam Vidruma Vedibhi. Translation purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. In that city, there were many assembly houses, street crossings, streets, restaurants, gambling houses, markets, resting places, flags, festoons, and beautiful parks. All these surrounded the city. Purport. In this way, the capital is described. In the capital, there are assembly houses and many squares, many street crossings, avenues and streets, many gambling places, markets and places of rest, all decorated with flags and festoons. The squares are surrounded with railings and are devoid of trees. The heart of the body can be compared to the assembly house, for the living entity is within the heart along with Paramatma, and thus the heart is the center of all remembrance, forgetfulness and deliberation. As stated in Bhagavad Gita 15.15, Sarvasichaham Sridhitanivishto Matah Smritir Jnanam Apohanam Cha. In the body, the eyes, ears and nose are different places of attraction for sense enjoyment, and the streets for going hither and thither may be compared to different types of air blowing within the body. The yogic process for controlling the air within the body and the different nerves is called Sushumna, the path of liberation. The body is also a resting place because when the living entity becomes fatigued, he takes rest within the body. The palms and the soles of the feet are compared to flags and festoons. Om Ajnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yenam Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namaham Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Iti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Sabachatvararatyabhir Akridayatanapanai Chaityadvaja Patakabhir Yuktam Vidrumavedibihi. In that city, there are many assembly houses, street crossings, streets, restaurants, gambling houses, markets, resting places, flags, festoons, and beautiful parks. All these surrounded the city. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
So,
Prabhuji.
yes.
Prabhuji, you are not doing today Facebook Live?
No, I have some actually connectivity issues, so that's why I didn't, do a live Facebook.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you so much.
So, the current context that we are in is Narada Muni is meeting Prachini Barishit and looking at his sense gratificatory propensity, because Prachini Barishit he started enjoying all the fruitive activities and doing all sorts of sense gratification. Because of which Narada Muni got a bit concerned and trying to tell him, gentlemen, what you are doing is absolutely wrong. Please don't do this. And he responded back saying that, I cannot think of anything beyond this, dear. Sir, I cannot think anything beyond. All I could think is only sense gratification. So, Narada Muni is starting to explain. This whole story of King Puranjana. It's a very good allegory. It's a very good explanation that Narada Muni is giving, comparing this body as a city of 9 gates. I'm going to explain. Because the Prachetas, they got association of Lord Shiva, they got their own directions to move further on. But if someone does not understand the fundamentals of spiritual life, then Krishna somehow or other sends some support system by which they can make progress. As Prabhupada writes in the purport, Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattah smriti jnanam apovanam cha. In that purport, there's a very interesting statement that Srila Prabhupada makes. the living entity forgets as soon as he quits his present body, but he begins his work again, initiated by the Supreme Lord. Although he forgets, the Lord gives him the intelligence to renew his work where he ended his last life. So not only does the living entity enjoy or suffer in this world according to the dictation from the Supreme Lord situated locally in the heart, but he receives the opportunity to understand the Vedas from him. If one is serious about understanding the Vedic knowledge, then Krishna gives the required intelligence. Why does he present the Vedic knowledge for understanding? Because a living entity individually needs to understand Krishna. So the point here is the way Krishna helps. Because Krishna is constantly trying to help someone to come to this path of spirituality, to somehow remember him, somehow reconnect back with him. But we don't do that. We constantly think that this material body and this associations, the resources, they all are much more meaningful to us than spirituality. Because in spiritual life, initially there are austerities and some sacrifices, but later, long term, there is happiness and celebrations. In materialistic life, initially there are very interesting things, apparently, but in long term, there's a challenge. So that is why Krishna is telling to all the gopis, Etavat janma sapalyam dehinam ihadehishu pranayarthe diyavacha shreyat acharanam sada. He says janma sapalyam, our life will get purified, our existence will get purified if we work on ultimate beneficial things. Shreyas. Prabhupada explains there are two types of activities. One is called Shreyas, another one is called Prayas. Shreyas is ultimately beneficial, Prayas is immediately beneficial. Narada Muni is trying to explain through this example of King Puranjana that what are you going to desire to achieve by performing these fruitive activities? Because those who have self-realized, for them all our activities looks like a joke. It is like, as an adult, when we think about our childhood days and childhood activities, which we try to do without proper understanding, without proper experience, we will definitely feel like laughing. Oh, I was so stupid at that time. Because Narada Muni, through this example of Puranjana, he is going to develop the story further. He is now building the base. Right now he is telling how this body is a city of 9 gates, and how the heart is the resting place, and he is explaining how the different parts of the body. This is not the first time Srimad Bhagavatam has done this. Previously also, it is explained how, it is explained if the eyes are not taking darshan of the Lord, if the head is not bowing down to the Lord, if the hands are not serving the Lord, the legs are not going to the Lord. So many such comparisons have been given. So it is to remind one every time, again and again, that we need to get rid of this nonsense, sense gratificatory propensity, without which we will suffer. So we are going to have some sets of reflections, and through those reflections we will try to chant these words. I have mentioned this in one of the earlier sessions, where there is a very popular syndrome that is doing rounds. It's called pump syndrome. Pump syndrome is problematic use of mobile phone syndrome. So a similar syndrome is amongst us as devotees, which is problematic use of materialistic philosophy. So the effect of this pump syndrome is such that we superimpose every thoughts, every action, everywhere, even in devotional life. We try to get to the stage of I, me, mine. So this I, me, mine propensity makes us, especially as devotees practicing in Krishna consciousness, we start to think. If as devotees we start to think as I, me, mine, it is extremely weird, because you are serving the deities, glorifying the deities, and suddenly, amongst in the middle, you are thinking about yourself. So in the garb of a devotee, we are trying to do things which we are supposed to give up. In the sense, as practitioners, mainly as a practicing devotee, we just remain superficially as a devotee, which is a very big concern. As of now, many of us, whilst we are trying and struggling to practice Krishna consciousness, we are also seeing a challenge of practicing Krishna consciousness in a manner which is highly superficial. In that sense, our devotional life is decided based on external criteria. A person will be called a devotee based on external criteria. We don't know to differentiate between look-alike versus the real one. We don't know to differentiate between what is Krishna consciousness and what is Krishna consciousness look-alike. So the first reflection that I want to, share as a part of this particular context is that the city of 9 gates, this body, this human form of life, which we are thinking is an opportunity for sense enjoyment, which we are thinking that we should not waste 1 minute of time to only, focus on it for sense pleasure. So if you very interestingly analyze, whatever we speak from Srimad Bhagavatam and tell, don't waste your time, don't waste this opportunity, in the future we may not know what is going to happen to us. This life is very precious. In this life only we can realize and, fix our mistakes of the past. So all those statements that we are saying, if you go and speak to a person who is materialist, they also say the exactly same set of statements. They are also saying that yes, exactly because of the same reason why I am saying let us enjoy now and go back and, do all sort of your spirituality later. That is the premises on which our younger generation is trying to. So this principle is called self-cheating. It's not a principle, it's this propensity or this thought process is a self-cheating thought process. According to Srimad Bhagavatam, anyone who thinks like this, Prahlad Maharaj is praying to Nrsimhadev, in one of the prayers he is saying, if somebody is coming to you worshipping my dear Lord with the propensity in asking something in return, that is a very cheap form of devotion. And here, Narada Muni is going one step forward and says that your whole human body, you are considering it as a opportunity or vehicle for your sense gratification, then it is stupidity par excellence. So my first reflection is about the phenomena of self-cheating. We may be thinking that we are outsmarting others. We may be thinking that we are trying to get what others are not managed to get. And every time when we do devotional life also, we somewhere or other add our agenda. So this phenomenon of self-cheating, where we are victim of this problematic use of material philosophy syndrome, leads us to think that we should live a life for honor, not that we are supposed to live a honorable living. I repeat, this phenomena of self-cheating or self-sense gratificatory propensity, because of the pump syndrome, problematic use of materialistic philosophy, which we are very strongly ingrained in, which very strongly we subscribe to, and we think that our life should be a life of honor, receiving praises. Rather than honorable living, where we need to live a life of principles. And the reason because of why we are doing this, why we are suffering like this is because materialistic knowledge, and here materialistic knowledge includes knowledge of jnana and karma. In Brahma Vimohan Leela, it is very nicely explained. Because of jnana and karma also, Brahma got captivated with this allurement, with all the, he himself got carried away and couldn't recognize the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Even though his Brahma is the great Supreme Father. So Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying that the jnana and karma, what to speak of materialistic knowledge, blinds one's vision in getting to see the reality and differentiate that from illusion. So Brahma is kidnapping these cowherd boys as well as the calves and coming back and seeing what Krishna is doing, and he is already seeing another set of cowherd boys and calves. Then Brahma is going back and checking out if all the cowherd boys and calves that he stole are still there. They are still there. So when Brahma realized by this up, down, sleeping, keeping, coming back, checking and going back and checking if they are there, 1 whole year is passed. There was hardly 1 second of Brahma, but in the materialistic years, 1 whole year is passed. And he realized his mistake and coming back to Krishna. He is asking for forgiveness. It is said that Brahma chose to ask for forgiveness privately because he was feeling ashamed for the mistake that he has done. And Brahma is offering all the prayers, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 15, 16, 17, so many prayers. It is said that Krishna did not even give a response. Okay, alright, I mean generally, thank you so much for the prayer, okay, you are forgiven. Krishna did not even respond. So Brahma made a mistake initially towards his daughter. Again, Brahma made a mistake during the Brahma Vimohan Leela. To fully purify himself of his propensity, Brahma thought that I need to do a significant shift in my strategy. He decided to participate in Chaitanya Leela as Haridas Thakur and continuously dedicating his life for chanting the holy name of the Lord. So the first principle hence is that for us to get rid of this pomp syndrome, to not part of this self-cheating, thinking that life is for honor instead of for honorable living. And if at all we want to purify our consciousness from this propensity of jnana and karma and also this materialistic ideology, we need to start working inwards completely to the deep and finally take shelter of the holy name of the Lord. So the first principle hence we are discussing is about the principle of, or the phenomena of self-cheating, which is what we need to be wary about. And this is so tasty, interesting, that we don't realize how deep we have gone there. Reflection number 2. In Madhurya Kadambini, it is explained that there is a difference in the rate at which the undesirable qualities disappear and the auspiciousness quality appear when we perform devotional life. So Srila Prabhupada explains in Nectar of Devotion that bhakti brings in all auspiciousness, shubhadha, by removing different klesha. So this is simultaneously manifesting removal of klesha, unwanted things, and manifestation of auspiciousness. So Prabhupada is listing some qualities that naturally manifest for a person who takes up devotional life. And the list is saying disinterest in materialistic affairs, interest in the Supreme Lord, friendliness, mercy, forgiveness, truthfulness, simplicity, equanimity, fortitude, gravity, respectfulness, humility, being pleasing to all. He says when we practice devotional life, these all manifest. But why it is not manifesting to us? Because of the first agenda. But somehow or other, if somebody is able to develop some sort of a shraddha and come in contact with self-realized soul like Narada Muni, who is trying to help, enlighten, then there is a hope. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura says that shraddha is of two types. One is called Swabhaviki Shraddha. Swabhaviki Shraddha means spontaneous faith. And second type of Shraddha he is saying is called Baladutpatita Shraddha. Baladutpatita Shraddha means Shraddha aroused by forceful preaching. As we read in the Bhagavad Gita's 15.15 purport, where Krishna helps us remember in the next life in some form or the other. So there is always some sort of a natural propensity for persons to revive or come closer to devotional life. Sometimes you will see people naturally take themselves up to Krishna consciousness. But sometimes we may need to really pull them in, drag them in. So Swabhaviki Shraddha has its own course. But one who is aroused by forceful preaching, he goes through very interesting phase. the current context where Narada Muni is doing a preaching to Prachini Barhishit, it is because he was completely drowning himself in the sense gratification. So Narada Muni is forcefully, in a sense, is voluntarily. It is not that Prachini Barhishit went for some searching for some realization or some support for realizing. It is Narada Muni is going and giving. So that is why Prabhupada says, depends upon the Shraddha, the rate in which the auspiciousness manifests and unwanted things get cleansed. Varies from person to person. It is directly proportional to the Shraddha. And Shraddha is directly proportionate. I mean, the Shraddha leads us to Bhajana Kriya, and Bhajana Kriya is of two categories. Anishtita and Nishtita. Unsteady devotional service and steady devotional service. So unsteady devotional service progresses in 6 stages. The unsteady devotional service, it is very interesting if you see what Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur is saying. We would have gone through them and we have our own direct experience, especially those practicing devotees. I have said this in one of the earlier sessions, but I wasn't sure if I said that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita forum or this Bhagavatam forum. So there are 6 stages in unsteady devotional service. This may not be logical stages, but this could be different psychological emotions that practitioners have, which this process of devotional service is trying to clean by whatever steps that we take. So Anishtita Bhajana Kriya, Anartha Nivritti is still far away. I mean, it's next step. The 6 stages or 6 unsteady devotional services are: number 1, we have false confidence. One may be puffed up with enthusiasm. This is called Utsahamayi. So this false confidence is such that where we think, especially as practicing devotees, who is having the impact of this pump syndrome, where sometimes jump up and down thinking that we are there. There is a very interesting folk song in Tamil. This folk song tells about the nature of life and the people's consciousness. The same song is explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Jeev Jago. Nanda Vanathil Orandi avan Nalaru Madamai Kuyavanai Vendi Kondu Vandanoru Tondi Ade Kutadi Kutadi Potudai Tandi. It means there was a beggar who did not even have a proper resources for him to come and beg. So this beggar went to a pot maker or whatever that guy who makes the pot. So he went to that guy and said that, hey, can you please, make one small pot for me so that I can go and beg alms. So this guy said that, no, I'm very busy. I have a lot of orders to execute. So I will see whenever I get free time, I'll make it. And somehow or other, he kept on waiting. After 10 months, this beggar got his pot. And the song says, Nalaru Madamai Kuyavane Vendi. Nalaru means 4 plus 6 is 10 months. He waited in the womb of the mother, pleading to the Lord, my dear Lord, please let me come out. We are feeling suffocation. And assure you, when I come out, I will worship you. I will glorify you. Bhoji bo boliya aise samsara bitare bhuliya rahile tumi avidyara bare. So we forgot the way of devotional service. So here the Lord is saying, hey, I am coming to remind you. Prabhupada writes 15.15 Bhagavad Gita. What does the purport says? The purport says Krishna is somehow or other trying to help us. Send some devotees. I sit in the heart, give you remembrance, forgetfulness, various other things. And now, after we getting the human form of life, after 10 long months of parishram, endeavor, this guy, beggar, he waited for 10 months, which is compared to the baby waiting for 10 months in the womb. As soon as this guy got the pot from the pot maker for his begging, he started jumping up and down. Hey, I got the pot, I got the pot, I got the pot. And in the process of super excitement, he broke the pot. That which he got by waiting for 10 long months, which is needed for him to go and beg alms, he broke it. So the folk song, the village folk song, they say that if this human form of life, this body, is meant for us to work hard, work smart, work focused. And for that the Lord is reminding, Tomare loite ami hoinu avatara ami bina bandhuara ke aache tumara. I've come to save you. And I brought in a medicine to cure you. So get rid of it. But this propensity of self-cheating will not allow. So the first stage of unsteadiness is we are sometimes over-enthusiastic and have a false confidence that we will make it. That is why every time whenever we think of us in devotional life, we are not so much worried. When we think of others, we are so much worried. So this category of people, we are compiling a book on this, the modern reflection of these 6 stages. Because we see different forms of a devotee, where somebody gives superlatively important, very good set of instructions. But if we go and see his own personal life and practices, it will be stinking. So the title of that chapter is Good Class Does Not Make a Person a Good Devotee. For giving a good class, you need some skills of good speaking and compiling some notes. Your class can be good. I'm not saying. I was just reflecting upon myself. This lockdown period has helped us, or helped me in some interesting way. That every time I give a class, Generally, when you give a class, you have students sitting in front of you. You have people sitting in front of you. So you get a feeling, you get an arrogance, pride that I am speaking for all of them. But since I started giving online classes during this lockdown period, especially with your Facebook Live or whatever that is, who is in front of you? You, your own face, monitor, you see yourself, which is the best way to preach. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Maharaj says, the best way to preach is go and lock yourself in the room, stand in front of the mirror and speak. Of course, the privilege Bhakti Sangha Japa conference had given me since 3-4 years before, where I get to speak to myself. I only get to see names and hear their sound, the beginning and the end. But then, with video enabled, they are getting more pictorial, help. So sometimes we have this over-enthusiastic propensity. So this is one aspect of unsteadiness in our devotional life, which we need to be careful. Second is about sporadic endeavor, being sometimes diligent and other times negligent. This is called Gana Tarala. Again, it is pretty obvious, right? We have seen this in our own lives. We would tell our family members, hey, don't disturb my chanting, I'm very focusedly chanting. And we ourselves will go and do some nonsense the next day. Half of the time our children are confused because of this behavior of ours. Is he a devotee or is he a hypocrite? Because children and our near and dear ones watch us with such a confusing behavior. So they get clueless. Is he a devotee? Really? Look at him. What is he doing now? 9 out of 10 times my wife gets confused because of this. Has she married to a devotee or some sort of a, debauchee? Suddenly he gives a class and cries and suddenly he's, like a zombie. So the point is this sporadic endeavor. This is called Gana Tarala. This is another aspect of unsteady devotional life. And the result is because of the pump syndrome. The source is because of prayers. We have never thought of shreyas. Only immediately beneficial activity. Kept on doing that which will immediately give me pleasure. I kept on doing it. That's why I am going south. Third is extensive speculation. The mind spends time pondering on whether to renounce or not, whether to do this or not. Indecisiveness. Should I surrender or not? When should I surrender? How much should I surrender? We all have our own, planning, goalpost. Prabhu, you know what? If I get this much bank balance, I will definitely, dedicate my life to preaching and Krishna consciousness. I know a few devotees who said this to me. And they kept on adding zeros to their bank balance every time I asked them. And the reason is inflation, market conditions, scenarios, so many things. They never stopped. So, this Vyuda Vikalpa, that indecision in somebody's life, is also contributing towards our unsteadiness in devotional life. Fourth, we struggle with our senses or unable to give up our sense enjoyment, as Prachini Barhishit asked and told Narada Muni. And this is quite obvious for all of us. That our senses, what all it gives us torture, I'm sure each and every one of us can write our own realizations as a book. like an uncontrolled horse. They all run in different directions, dragging us through various places, a blind leads blind kind of scenario, where it take us through such a thorny, rocky, bumpy ride. In Tamil we say, Kandade Kachi Kondade Kolam, which means you see whatever you see around and keep jumping around. And Prabhupada says, Bada Bada Bandar, Bada Bada Pet. Big monkey, big belly, Solon jumping melancholy. They keep jumping. And the moment we come in contact with sense objects, I mean, that's it. So, which has been pretty much mapped out by our acharyas. Yes, you will go through this. You will struggle with your senses. This is called Vishaya Sangara. The fifth category is unable to uphold vows, which results in the inability to improve in one's devotional service. Niyamakshana. This also is pretty obvious. How many times we would have broken our vows? In the chapter of Gundicha Marjan, Prabhupada explains that gross offenses, gross external sense gratification is something that we generally tend to give up easily, because the anarthas are of four categories. Of one category of anartha is very easily cleansed. The anartha caused out of previous sinful activities, duskritota, they get very easily cleansed. As soon as you chant, as soon as you come in contact with devotees, as soon as you honor prasadam, so effect of previous sinful activities to get cleansed, it does not take much time. But what takes time is the subtle ones. So Niyamakshana is the one stage or one unsteadiness where we keep wobbling, not able to keep up our vows. And the last is about Taranga Rangini, enjoying the facilities offered by bhakti and just get complacent over there, forgetting that we are here for bhakti and not for enjoying these results. Puja, Labha, Pratishtha. The stage is called Taranga Rangini. So these are all 6 unsteadiness stages in Bhajana Kriya. So Bhajana Kriya has got 2 stages, as I said, Anishtita Bhajana Kriya and Nishtita Bhajana Kriya. Anishtita means unsteadiness, which is cause of our pump, which is because of our self-cheating propensity, which is because of our stupidity par excellent decision, which is because of we thinking for honor instead of honorable living, which is because we turned against the Supreme Lord. We turned our face away from the Supreme Lord. Or we are seeing the Supreme Lord as an order supplier. So when we pray to the Lord also, we try to see the Lord as a person who is supposed to be the giver, not the one to be the enjoyer. So this is my second reflection, where this unsteadiness in our devotional life causes this trouble. So these are different marks, references that Narada Muni is explaining to Prachini Barhi. He is going to keep building this up. He's going to say that this wonderful city is going to be attacked. How it is going to be attacked? Who is going to attack? What is the impact of that, scenario? He is going to introduce different characters. And finally, Narada Muni is going to explain as a part of this chapter or further on to this chapter, the next chapter. So it's going to be a very interesting set of verses that he tried to elevate us from this sense gratificatory propensity. So the chapter 25 to 31 of this fourth canto, which is considered as those canto where Dhruva, Pratu, Prachini, this whole fourth canto where various material activities that can be used in Lord's service is explained. How it can be dovetailed is explained. They say that Srimad Bhagavatam first two cantos are Krishna's lotus feet. And this fourth canto is a portion of legs, which is that where we are supposed to walk towards the path, dovetail them in the Supreme Lord's service. So hence my third reflection is, and the last reflection as a part of this particular shloka is, that Narada Muni is going to put Prachini Barhi through a very interesting experience, so much so to the extent that finally the end result is self-realization. And he's also going to link back to these sons of Prachini Barhi who got the instructions from Lord Shiva about the goal of life. He's going to show to them and also give further instructions to them. So in our own devotional life, if at all we want to kind of elevate ourselves, we want to direct us towards a destination, we want to direct us towards a proper conclusion in our existence. So we need to stay put in the association of devotees, practice Krishna consciousness with all genuinity, take it slow and steady, not taking it in the comparative spirit, and eventually we will be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel. Because this process, Krishna gives an assurance. If somebody is connected to this process, the net result is definitely they go back home, back to Godhead. So with that hope, with that assurance from the Supreme Lord, with that assurance from the Acharyas, we have definitely happy days ahead, even whilst receiving the pain. As a pregnant lady, we have got the seed sown in the heart. We are already impregnated with devotional seed. And if you properly groom, properly provide shelter and coverings and fence, this Bhakti-Rata Beej is going to grow. We are also going to produce results in our own devotional life, which will definitely be different than the materialistic results. and that will position us the forward path. We can see Krishna face to face very soon. So this current chapter, where most of the descriptions are all about the details, meticulous information regarding how all a person can, get into sense gratification, how this body, how these resources, how these various things that are coming and alluring us. So once Rasaraj Prabhu mentioned that as a practicing sadhaka, we are definitely discussing about Krishna consciousness, Krishna Leela, which is good, but he should also have that much detailed analysis of how much he is deviating and distracting from Krishna consciousness. You need to be aware. So hence this chapter helps us to remember, imagine what all the trap that we have in our life. So thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to be part of this wonderful Sangha. And I'm sorry that I logged in late. I had some challenge to sign in. So thank you so much. And if there are any questions or comments, I'll be happy to respond. Nirantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much for wonderful class, Prabhu. Very valuable points, reflections. If anybody have any questions or realizations, please go ahead.
Yeah, Hare Krishna Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, thank you Prabhu for very nice points and our daily life, what we go through, between surrender and half surrender, no surrender, full surrender. Yeah, Prabhu, I have two questions, Prabhu.
Sure.
Prabhuji, first question is this one. Coming to Lord Brahma, Prabhuji, it's sometimes very confusing. How do we, position ourselves or understand Lord Brahma? Because, we see it is described that Lord Brahma gets attracted towards his daughter, and Lord Brahma is put into illusion of stealing the cows, the calves, and the cowherd boys, right? And then we see in Prahlad Maharaj prayers also, it is defined from Brahma to the ant, right? Are all under the modes of material nature. So this is one side, Prabhu. The other side we see, he is our Acharya, right? He is in our disciplic line of succession, and he is the first person who has darshan of the Lord, and he has given the knowledge, right, from to Narada, and it's passing on. But how do we understand, Prabhu, these two contrasting aspects?
Very interesting question. Thank you. It is like this. When the Lord is taking Guna Avatar, because Brahma is part of Guna Avatar, Lord Shiva, Brahma and Vishnu, there are three Guna Avatars, one for passion, one for goodness, one for ignorance. It is said that Brahma and Lord Shiva, as a part of their activities, as a part of their Guna Avatar, they need to deal with material nature. They need to come in contact with material nature. And because of them coming in contact with the material nature, so they get allured and also carried away sometimes. So Brahma, even though is Krishna's expansion, because of somebody coming in contact with material nature, the nature of materialistic aspect is allurement. So, one thing we need to remember is that whoever may be, unless or otherwise he is Krishna himself, because Krishna controls the nature, and it is explained out of Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. Vishnu come in contact with nature but not get involved in material nature. So even Vishnu has got a contact with Maya, but not in terms of Brahma and Lord Shiva. Vishnu's touch with Maya is only a kind of a law, like a master touching or master enabling a servant. But in case of Brahma and Shiva, the kind of service that they have to do, creation, procreation, annihilation, involves very deep-rooted interaction with material nature and sense objects. As Prabhupada says, a preacher, whilst he is practicing and going out to preach, he is actually challenging Maya. He is going out there and trying to, participate, engage himself with Maya. So there are slippages, there are possibilities that he may get carried away. That is why a self-realized soul is different from a practicing devotee. A self-realized soul, he has a very efficient strategy to, bring in a shield. It is like a doctor leading with COVID cases. A person who is amateurishly dealing will not be so careful how to cover himself in all parts while dealing with virus. They say, it's okay, it will not happen to me. So he will kind of ignore. But a intelligent one will do all covering, gloves, face mask, body mask, put all those coverings so that he is not going to be contacting with the virus. So the first reflection or the first aspect to your question is that Brahma is part of Gunavatar. Because he is coming in contact with material nature, he generally gets allured. Number two, Brahma is devotee also. So he is not only Gunavatar, he is devotee also. So both ways. So whilst he is, there's a probability and possibility and also situations where he gets allured, he also asks for forgiveness and repents. In one place Prabhupada writes in 6th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, the biggest difference between demigods and demons, or demigods also make mistakes, demons also make mistakes, but demigods realizes their mistakes and ready to ask for forgiveness. Demons don't ask for forgiveness, still continue with their arrogance, unless otherwise they are shown down and brought them to their knees. So demigods, because of them coming and asking for forgiveness and ready to improve upon themselves, so they are still considered better off and considered for preaching the Lord's glories because of that one nature of ready to ask for forgiveness. So Brahma is allowed as an Acharya. Krishna is not, cognizant. Krishna is fully cognizant and still enabling Brahma because Brahma is a sincere devotee. And Prabhupada writes, a sincere devotee may also have his own slippages, may also have apparent mistakes, and also have scenarios where they have done, so-called deviation or distraction or some things, maybe out of their own carelessness, maybe it is out of the nature of the material world. If you read Jada Bharata's pastime, Prabhupada talks about this propensity plenty of times. So that is why purest form of devotional service is worshipped and cannot be imitated. And we have to progressively, it takes a long time. And I'll tell you a simple story of how long time it can take from the life of Shabari. Shabari was given a blessings. What blessings Shabari was given? That you keep doing devotional service, one day a Lord will visit your house. So Shabari, when she got this blessings, what did she do? Shabari went on to start preparing her house, waiting for the Lord's arrival So it is said that every day morning, Shabari's agenda is to clean the house, keep everything ready, make preparations. Maybe today the Lord will come. And not only the house, she used to go outside the house, clean the road, clean the trees, clean all the, remove the leaves, pluck the flowers, grow some orchids, make sure that the path that the Lord is walking is pretty nicely kept. So she does every day everything to make sure that what if the Lord comes today? What if the Lord comes today? What if the Lord comes today? And how long she did that? Not 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. She did it for thousands of years before Lord Ramchandra visited. So one explanation that is given is that as practitioners, we are only entitled to do our endeavor, waiting for the Lord's mercy for an extended period in time. Unlike we want quick results, which even Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is ready to give, but even in that we want some fastest solution. Somehow or other, being regular watching movies, we want to end the climax and become the net result. Prabhu, fast forward that and give me the result. Prabhupada is talking about this prapanchati as Ardha Kukuti Jnaya, half hen philosophy, a hen which can lay a golden egg. The hen would lay every day one golden egg. And the cost of maintaining the hen is also half the cost of the egg. So this guy was thinking that, oh my God, half of the money by selling this egg I take to spend to maintain this hen. So let me cut the front portion of it because it is consuming my resources, so that I will only get the egg and make money. It's called stupidity. So the second aspect why this is happening is, it is the nature of this material world. So we need to have extended period of prayers and parishram, endeavor, before we get to clean, because it's so many lifetimes we have been suffering. So Brahma, because he is a devotee also, he is given that blessings. So whenever we see these stories, Prabhupada explains that we should not undermine the position of these demigods. We should understand that the process of devotional service is walking on the razor's edge. The third way by which we can explain is, sometimes these great devotees, they do a role play of falling down, role play of slippage, role play of committing an offense, so that we all can understand the gravity of this problem. So when Brahma got allured towards his daughter, Brahma got allured towards Krishna, it is also a role play, it is also a Leela, and in that Leela Krishna responds back that you may be Brahma yourself, but you still have to go through what you have to go through. When Madhu and Kaitapa stole away the knowledge from Brahma, because every day, every night of Brahma, so Brahma has got 12 hours as a day, 12 hours as a night. Every time when Brahma go to rest, partial pralaya happens. And after the partial pralaya, Brahma once again recreate. That is why it is called Visarga. Sarga, Visarga. Sarga means creation. Visarga means recreation. So when Brahma do recreation, the Lord has to enable him about how he has to go about. One time, that knowledge was stolen by Madhu and Kaitaba. So Brahma was told, you lost your knowledge, you please go and meditate for a long time. So Brahma meditated for a long, long time. Then the Lord appeared and killed Madhu and Kaitaba and gave the knowledge to Brahma again. So the Lord also assists whilst the Lord is trying to punish, at the same time he also assists. So one of the things that we need to understand is that in the process of devotional service, we are definitely need to be careful about the slippage. But if we give more importance to the process and our surrender and propensity to repent and ask for forgiveness, support system is always available. Krishna is not a butcher waiting with a knife to chop off us. Krishna is available with open arms, with ready to hug us, try to cure all the propensities to let us in his abode, provided we have the very clean propensity to ask for forgiveness and ready to cure ourselves. So it may take time, but we will definitely make it. Am I making some sense here, Prabhu?
Oh, no, Prabhu. Perfect sense, Prabhu. Yeah, thanks for a detailed explanation, Prabhu, because this applies, like you said, to all the personalities, all the demigods also. Yeah, Prabhuji, can I ask one follow-up question in the same thing?
Sure.
This is also sometimes confusing, like Madhu, the demon Madhu and Kaitaba. Like Brahma is not created, right, Prabhu, yet. Like Brahma is yet to do the Visarga part. Where do these demons come up, Prabhu? Like, where do they come up, and why are they, stealing the knowledge from Brahma?
Okay, so it is like this, where they came up from the body of Vishnu. That's what it was told. So these all are very interesting pastimes, where we hear the pastimes that are happening in the material world, so that we get to see certain things. But beyond this material world, in the the spiritual, not a spiritual paradigm, but I'm saying in the Brahma Loka, or wherever the Lord wants to create or do things. So there are also some intermittent pastimes there. May not be for all the praja, but even for the created beings there. So there are interesting such small episodes to educate Brahma and also in turn educate to all of us. So these two demons came from the body of the Lord, if I'm right, and the Lord himself came, coming out to kill these Madhu and Kaitaba, and eventually restored the process of creation. So it is not necessarily that demons are present only in earthly planets. So sometimes demons or demoniac propensities are there in the heavenly planets also. And this Madhu and Kaitapa represents a propensity, that gets raised to enjoy this world and stealing away the spiritual knowledge and letting us walk the path in a darkness. So we have to take shelter of the Supreme Lord, because it is said that Brahma sometimes gets slightly proud that he is created. Because of his nature of this passion, with all the reasoning that we just discussed, sometimes he gets this slight amount of, hey, you know what, I am actually the creator. Every day I am doing the creation. You see my point? Sometimes when we give Bhagavatam class, we kind of get into a role of an acharya and start screaming at everybody, saying that you rascals, you guys are in fallen state. As soon as you step out of the asana, you will fall down yourself. So sometimes these all, small experiences that Krishna gave and snub on our head, saying that you are not better off anyway. So to bring him to his own, because Krishna do not want anyone to perform any devotional service unless they are clean. So when Brahma got slightly proud sometimes, so he does this act of, sending him some demon and bring him to his knees, then make Brahma to plead, then Krishna educate, so that Brahma can do his creation properly. So this all are some sort of a Krishna's Divya Leela that keep on going.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Yeah. So, Prabhuji, one last question.
Sure.
The other day we were discussing, and we couldn't come up to a good answer, Prabhu. Like the word Pada Sevanam, right? In the famous sloka, Shravanam Kirtanam.
Yes.
In that, when Padasevanam comes, like what does it mean, Prabhu, practically? Right? Literally we know, but practically what does that mean?
3 things. Number 1, following in the footsteps of Vaishnavas. Padasevanam means it is like this. It has got a direct meaning. It also has got a derived meaning. Direct meaning is the Lord's lotus feet is a resting place for all the devotees. And if you read 2nd chapter of Krishna book, there is a set of prayers by demigods towards the Supreme Lord. They are making these prayers, offering these prayers to motivate Mother Devaki and bring in auspiciousness so that Krishna can appear. Because that whole scene was very gloomy because of Kamsa creating such a ruckus there. So the demigods thought that when Krishna is going to appear, we should create a very positive atmosphere. So they are going and glorifying about Krishna. There are close to 30-40 prayers that they are offering. One of the prayers they are offering is, they are comparing the Lord's lotus feet is like a boat helping us to cross over the ocean of many signs. So they are saying that anyone who takes the shelter of Lord's lotus feet, that lotus feet is like a boat which can help somebody cross over the ocean of many signs. So Prabhupada writes there that when you sit on the boat, generally in a typical materialistic sense, if anybody sits on a boat to go from one side to another side, the boat actually moves from one side of the shore to the other side of the shore. But in the case of Krishna, when somebody surrenders to that boat, takes shelter of the boat, unlike the boat which is moving, it is that ocean of nescience shrink to the size of the calf's hoof print. So much so that we don't need to even ride, we just need to jump over. It is the size of the calf's hoof print. Prabhupada writes even a small child can jump over that, that thing. So the ocean of nescience gets shrink, which is an interesting phenomenon, because Prabhupada says the so-called materialistic people may sometimes question that, hey, if you are sitting on this boat and trying to cross over, who is bringing back the boat? Prabhupada said the scenario is that nobody is bringing back the boat because the boat doesn't move anywhere. It is only the ocean that gets shrinked. So in first sense, Padasevanam means that the Lord's lotus feet is the resting place of all the Vaishnavas. So we need to follow in the footsteps of the Vaishnavas' instruction, by which we will be able to cross over the ocean of many signs. Number 2, Padasevanam means generally it is about humility. I surrender down, bow down to do certain activities, not to show off. In a typical bodily sense, anything to do with legs, it is about some sort of a humble, simple, menial, not some sort of an arrogant, masterly mentality. Because in the whole body, head is considered as a primary, if you remember the way the body is classified, head portion is Brahmana, arms portion is Kshatriya, belly portion is Vaishya, and legs portions are Shudra. So that is how a body is classified. Similarly, how a society, Varnashrama system, Brahmanas are the heads of the society, Kshatriyas are the arms of the society, Vaishyas are the bellies of the society, and Shudras are the legs of the society. So it is important that a person need to stay grounded, stay humble, and perform the activities in a humble frame of mind for us to realize self-realization. The third and most important service is that as a part of Pada Sevanam, it has got 2 aspects of it. Sevanam. So humility is not just a word jugglery. Humility has got an active service. Because many times we think out of humility, I don't do a service. This is Mayavadi, superimposition. Sometimes somebody is a Mayavadic person. Somebody comes from a monistic ideology. They may think that because I am supposed to be humble, I will not do anything. This is a part of Sharirika Bhashya. Shankara says that because I am humble, because I am supposed to be, this is not only monist, it's actually also various Apasampradayis, they do this. They claim, I am humble person, how can I do this service? I'm not supposed to do this service. I'm not so qualified to do this service. The whole message of humility is not about non-service. The humility is that be in a humble state of mind, but do all the service, give all the credit to the predecessors, and take all the blame on you, which is what the message is. So what happens is that the third aspect of Pada Sevana means it is not only humility, it is not only that we follow in the footsteps of Acharyas, but also take responsibility and do action. Prabhupada writes, it is not only consciousness, it is action. How action means? Go out and preach, go to do service, take up responsibility, be accountable. Yeah, for sure you are not qualified. That is why you are not doing, you are executing the orders of your spiritual master. If you think you are the doer, then that's all, you are doomed. But if you think that you are executing the orders of your spiritual master, then what happens? Then you will give all the credit to your spiritual master and take all the blame upon you, which is a very significant, and very difficult thing to do. But if somebody does it, they achieve the perfection. This is my 3 cents on, or 3 reflections on this Pada Sevana.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Very instructive, Prabhuji. Yeah. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Prabhu, for your time and detailed explanation. Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dandavat pranams. Thank you so much for the very nice class and very wonderful question and answer session. With your permission, can I add something for the Brahma related question?
Oh, sure, please.
Okay, so this is from, we were reading this recently, so this is from Canto 3, Chapter 12, Text 28, translation. O Vidura, we have heard that Brahma had a daughter named Vak, who was born from his body and who attracted his mind towards sex, although she was not sexually inclined towards him. So, I just wanted to read a few lines from the purport. This extraordinary immorality on the path of Brahma was to have occurred in some particular kalpa, but it could not have the 4 essential verses of Srimad Bhagavatam, because the Lord benedicted Brahma after giving him lessons on the Bhagavatam that he would never be bewildered in any kalpa whatsoever. This indicates that before the hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam, he might have fallen a victim to such sensuality, but after hearing Srimad Bhagavatam directly from the Lord, there was no possibility of such failures. Text 29, thus finding their father so deluded in an act of immorality, the sages headed by Marichi, all sons of Brahma, spoke as follows with great respect. O Father, this performance in which you are endeavoring to complicate yourself was never attempted by any other Brahma, nor by anyone else, nor by you in previous kalpas, nor will anyone dare to attempt it in the future. You are the supreme being in the universe, so how is it that you want to have sex with your daughter and cannot control your desire? Even though you are the most powerful being, this act does not suit you because your character is followed for spiritual improvement by people in general. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, who by his own effulgence, while situated in himself, has manifested this cosmos. May he also protect religion for all goodness. The father of all Prajapatis, Brahma, thus seeing all his Prajapati sons speaking in that way, became very much ashamed and at once gave up the body he had accepted. Later that body appeared in all directions as a dangerous fog in darkness. So, in the next shloka, in the purport, Prabhupada is telling that the Vedas are the source of all knowledge, and they were first revealed to Brahma by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, while Brahma was thinking of recreating the material world. Brahma is powerful by dint of his devotional service unto the Lord, and the Lord is always ready to forgive his devotee if by chance he falls down from the noble path of devotional service. The example, I'm just reading one other line, the example shown by Brahma only suggests that the power of material nature is so strong that it can act upon everyone, even Brahma. Brahma was saved by the mercy of the Lord with a little punishment, but by the grace of the Lord he did not lose his prestige as a great Brahma.
So thank you, Prabhuji. I just wanted to support whatever you said. It was very much in line with Bhagavatam and Srila Prabhupada's purpose, and we are very grateful for this association of sharing your realizations in this class. Thank you so much.
Very grateful to you for bringing this enlightenment. Thank you. Anybody else have any other questions or comments?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Pranam. Thank you so much for your class and amazing points, and I really like the question and answer session too. One question I have is, you are talking about the 6 stages of unsteady devotional service, being a neophyte. If you can provide some practical suggestions for extensive speculation, that sometimes I struggle with, like keeping on thinking many things in my mind while practicing the service. Are there any practical tips you can give us so that we don't fall prey to that? Yeah.
I have 3 suggestions. I mean, this is not only your problem; it's my problem too. I think it's those who have been part of this. That's why I said the basis of all these things is our material education, because the material education is skill based and spiritual education is values based. I'm currently in Houston consulting a school over here, trying to help them progress in a spiritual based education system. So a biggest challenge that again and again and again we as devotees we face is every time we try to go and try to do anything values based, because of our strong rooted understanding on how the education needs to happen, we try to get into a skill based. So somewhere when I say skill based, what happens is that we are gross results here. So if grossly you see a result, that's where our success is shown. Suppose if the gross result is not seen, we immediately conclude that things are not happening. So there's 3 suggestions which I was reflecting for myself. As I said, these all classes are all for good self-realization. Number 1, that one of the reasons why we do excessive speculation is because we do not have enough information in first place, which means one category of people who does this excessive speculations are those who have not studied Srila Prabhupada books, or who have not studied, who have not got the interest, inclination in being part of Shastra studies. So if anybody studies, at least it's a primary information. Basically, in spiritual life, information, education, realization and transformation. These are the 4 stages. You first get informed, and then by asking questions, you get educated, and by putting it in practice, you get realized, and then eventually get transformed. And this is a spiral. This is not like a unilateral. I get fully informed, then I fully get educated, then I fully, it's not like that. You get informed, then you try to analyze, evaluate, try to question, and put it in your own context. Then try to apply them, and when you apply them, you realize, yes, what is being told is happening to me, and then we will be able to further get into this loop. So what happens is that for you to be informed, for you and me to be informed, we need to get in touch with Shastras. The greatest disease today in ISKCON is we don't get to read Prabhupada books. With Prabhupada was also concerned. So one solution strategy for this Dyuda Vikalpa, extensive speculation, is that we be well informed, because at least we all have got some amount of respect, if not all the necessary respect towards our acharyas. For sure, we are all part of this morning Sangha, doing this Krishna consciousness program because we have some attachments towards Srila Prabhupada's life and mission. Maybe we are not able to fully subscribe to it, but somehow or other, if we can understand that if I associate myself with Srila Prabhupada and his purports and his lectures and instructions, so that is number 1, by which we can kind of go back to your mind and say, because mind has got an alternative answer. Otherwise, mind will think that my answer is the best answer, because it does not have, because we are all logical thinkers. The biggest challenge for all the materialistic education is, logically, if it is not correct, it cannot be true. So the speculation is, oh, how can it be logically correct? If it is logically, not fitting in, this cannot be true. So that is why, we need to kind of get into a zone which is beyond logic, which scientists and so-called modern philosophers will call us illogical, but I would call us beyond logic, because spirituality is beyond materialistic logic. This is number one. The second way by which extensive speculation is within us is because of some amount of pride. One time one professor went to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. This guy is a dean of an university, very famous university. He went to meet Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, he was a very great scholar. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj was already a scholar amongst all the popular ones. So this guy went to learn some spiritual knowledge from him. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj, as soon as this guy came and said, "My dear sir, I would like to learn something from you," he said, okay, I will teach you later. I'll answer your questions. You please go inside the kitchen in the DT room. My pujari needs some helping hand. Please go and wash some pots and come. I mean, this was a pretty embarrassing situation for the dean of the university. That, hey, I'm a dean of university. In my own house, I don't wash my pots. And I came to some scholar to discuss philosophy. He's asking me to wash his pots. So, but then he couldn't go back because it is kind of an embarrassing moment. So he went inside, and out of all reluctance, he went inside and came back after 1 hour and offered his obeisances to Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Maharaj and said, "My dear sir, I'm so thankful that you allowed me to do this service. During the process of doing this service, so much of my, propensities and so much of whatever the baggage that I had, they all got kind of relieved, and some of my even questions are answered. So sometimes we are into this extensive speculation because we value our intelligence over we value the Shastras. Of course, we are not trying to, encourage anybody to be a blind followers. Prabhupada wanted us to be an independently thoughtful person. So hence we need to understand that being involved in some sort of a service, and that too I always encourage that each and every one of us should have a menial service. And third and most important thing is also about the practices that are currently happening in our own society. Sometimes this is actually beyond us in some capacity. As a movement, sometimes we see different results. We see different types of devotees. We try to kind of get bewildered, saying that if within ISKCON, which I considered as one of our bona fide processes, I was so struggling outside and I came into the movement to get much more regulated, that here also there are so many confusions. So then we start to have our own interpretation. So that is why the third suggestion is to somehow or other, if you can find a reliable, suitable, relatable association where Shastras are lived and demonstrated and shown, or at least given some right set of clarification to certain misleading behaviors and confusing behaviors. It will help us avoid the speculation. Otherwise, we will naturally go back and speculate, okay, that Mataji spoke on that day because of this reason, because of so and so, and we get to conclusion. And not only we conclude, we try to act on the conclusion also. So sometimes we remain under the shelter, under the able care of some more senior devotees who would have walked this path. Those devotees may not also necessarily be completely come out of their own challenges, but at least they are better off, and at least they will be able to give a perspective to stay within the boundary of functioning, rather than just going all guns all over the place, speculating about every activity of us. So the third scenario is a kind of a scenario by being part of a movement where there are varieties of people with varieties of baggages that they come. It's like a hospital. Different diseases get cured and different diseases are not getting cured. Sometimes we get bewildered with the people who have not got cured, thinking that this hospital is bad or the treatment is not going to work, without realizing that it is about individualistic scenario, and hence we need to remember to stay connected closely with those people who can help us and be a role model to us. So that is why Srila Prabhupada wanted us to become more and more role models so that the future generations does not have such a confusing scenario. Making sense, Prabhu?
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Grateful.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Any other questions or comments?
If
Okay.
nobody have any question, can we end the call here? Okay, let's pay obeisances to Prabhuji and to all the devotees. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your enlightening class today, and we are very grateful to you. We look forward for your session again in future, Prabhuji. Thank you so much. Let's pay obeisances to Prabhuji and to all the devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhu hevacha patitanam pavnebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Grantha Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. His Grace Ramgiridhari Prabhuji ki jai. Thank you so much, Prabhuji.